Hi, hello everybody. Welcome to the show. Hello. Oh man, it's good to see you all. It is good to see you all. I've got a little bit of a short stream to kind of show y'all today. I thought I wanted to start it off with was this really cool clip from a movie that I watched recently called The On the Edge, and it's like the documentary movie about Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay's first ascent of Everest. Well, like the first ascent of Everest, and it's really cool because it's this awesome combination of like live footage and actual photographs that were taken, and then actor recreations of the scenes, and uh, it's got some really epic stuff to it. And so I just wanted to show you guys a clip to it because I thought this had like this is like one of the coolest movie scenes I've ever seen, and it's also one of the coolest like soundtrack pieces I've ever seen. Like I think about this now every time when I go outside walking. So let me straight myself here. Where am I? There you go. Let me like put baby in a quarter. Isn't that just so cool looking? Just that really neat, total panoramic view. It's what it looks like from the outside of Everest. And this was the second attempt that was made out of this truck. So, there were two other guys that went up the mountain first, and they couldn't make it all the way. And one of the main reasons is that they were trying out a different type of oxygen system that they called the closed system, where you would inhale your outside air and oxygen, and your exhale would go into a lime tank that would break down the CO2 to give you back some oxygen, and it allowed you to carry less oxygen on the entire thing. And it didn't work. And so that's why the first group had to come down. And so Tenzing and Edmund Hillary went up with the open system, where you breathe in with some oxygen and you breathe out and expel into the outside air. And they actually camped about 28,000 feet, or 29,000 feet. They camped just below the Hillary step, from the camp that was set up on the South Pole. So they had to spend the night in the death zone, which is already, an insane thing, and they slept through with their oxygen, and then got up the next morning and they climbed, they climbed the Hillary step, and they went over the three ridges, then made it to the peak. And okay, so let me keep shouting to you. It's such a neat photo. As Tenzing at the top of Everest. And so, Hillary didn't take a photo of himself at the top of Everest. He just took the photo down each of the main ridges, and then the photo of Tenzing. Because he really wanted to credit Tenzing as his moment of being, the first man at the peak of Mount Everest. But it's really just one of those like super impressive, moments of human history. That it was at a neat time period. Everybody was trying to climb Everest. They had had a Swiss expedition that had failed before, and the Americans were coming kind of on the heels of this expedition. And so, then everybody, was giving it their best chance possible. It was, this is 1953, so you post-World War II England, which really doesn't have too many legs to stand on left. The entire, British Empire has, ceded the majority of its colonial territories and stuff. And so this was kind of the one last, thing that they did that was an achievement of the British Commonwealth because Hillary was a New Zealander. He was a Kiwi. So it is kind of funny that technically, the British expedition is the first to summit Everest, but the two people on there, are a Tibetan Sherpa and a New Zealander. Oh, just kind of a funny piece of history, but, yeah, I mean, what a neat way that they displayed it. I would totally encourage everyone to go watch this movie. It's free on YouTube. And it does such a good job of just telling the whole story. And, getting you, like, if you're gonna do any expeditioning, there we go, that's a good picture. If you're gonna, like, be doing any expeditioning, coming up, I think this is a really good height movie. If you're not about to climb a mountain. Yeah, but what a neat thing. What a neat thing that went off in history. And it was quite a while later. It was, I think, over 10 years later, it's like 1968, when the first Everest summit was successful without oxygen. And I don't remember the name of who did that, but that's another kind of, feat that's just, incredible. Let me look at my stream real quick to make sure it's all working. Like to make sure it's all working. What a neat thing that we all the history anyway. Yeah, everything's still working here. All right, cool. Yeah, so that was just a neat little. That's a neat thing to show you. So there's several, really good Everest movies. Because I went down a run of watching them. Well, not all Everest movies, but just like mountain climbing movies in general. I think Beyond the Edge is for sure my favorite one. But haven't seen The Alpinist or Everest. I didn't know The Summit. I haven't seen. But what did I watched? Mario was a really good one. The first Summit of Mario. All that trials that one went through. The guy that like had a terrible head injury on a ski accident, and then he goes back and he climbs the mountain, like risking a total brain aneurysm and stuff. That was uh super incredible. Man, I'm like trying to go through my YouTube history to see, because they put a bunch of mountain climbing movies on for like free. And then Dying for Everest I did watch. So this was the two guys that climbed to the peak and then they couldn't make it down. Oh, no. This is the one where they passed the guy that was left. So this dude with no legs, he's a double amputee, climbs the Everest summit and his party goes past a guy. They find a dude that's like sitting out on one of the ridges and he's completely frozen. He's alive, but he's not moving, and they they pass him on the way back and they decide to leave him there. Um and a bunch of other parties saw this guy too, and they all basically left him on the ridge. And then when they got down the mountain, the big thing that was in the American news was that the double amputee guy was like this really bad person, and he was shamed for leaving somebody up on the mountain. And I know the thing that people didn't really understand was like it's such an effort to be to be functional on the mountain. It's unbelievably difficult to pull, to like just to have the energy to pull somebody else down the mountain. And the guy had spent a full night up there already. It looked like he had gotten trapped from the previous summit day. And he was just stuck up there. He didn't climb. He climbed with a company, but they didn't do much more than just buy the permit. He was basically a solo climber. He didn't go with a partner or anything, and he wound up being stuck up there. And some Sherpas did share some oxygen to let him speak to him again, but because he had already spent like a night and 2 days and a night in the death zone, he was basically completely brain dead. And there was just no way to get him down. But this other climber got huge media blowback because he didn't rescue this other guy. And I mean, there was just no real way to do it. And so that's an interesting movie. And there was something else, but there's a movie about the Big Two disaster that's really good. And then there's what is a movie that's the build up to. It's kind of like the unintentional build up to Dying for Everest, because it's a story about the guy that died in that trip and how he lost all of his toes having to spend a night up there. Oh, come on, I know I can find this. It's The Fatal Game. Yeah, so if you watch The Fatal Game, it's about a guy. It's about a guy that he had like 6 or 7 attempts at the summit, and he had failed. And this was kind of his last big try, and that cameraman that went along with him, and they got to a way too late of a start, and they reached the point that like in the afternoon. It was like 3 or 4 o'clock, which is like incredibly, like when you leave to go climb Everest, you need to leave really early in the morning. What climbing got like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. You need to be on the summit by 11, at least 11 to 12. But when you start getting into the early afternoon, it's too late because it takes so long to climb back down the mountain. This guy, the cameraman was radioed to turn around during the ascent. But he was like, man, I don't want to leave this guy up here to summit by himself. I'd say he was committed, so the cameraman goes out with him. He makes the summit, and then they start trying to work their way down from the dark, and they get some of the way, and and they basically get too cold and too tired and they have to bivvy up for the night. And so they do. They bivvied up. And this was on the north face. And if you're climbing the north face, so the Hillary steps on the south face. The north face has 3 different steps, and they camped above the 3rd step. Because they were moving just so slowly off of the peak. That night that they camped, it got like record-breaking, unbelievably cold. Like, it's obviously cold at the top of Everest, even though it's like during the summertime and stuff. But what's happened while these guys were camping out there, and what just is a thing that happens in general, is because Everest is so high relative to Earth's atmosphere, and the curvature of the Earth is not, completely round. It has its peaks and valleys like you would see on a golf ball. And what happened is that the atmosphere is not perfectly circular either. It kind of follows that run. And so that night, the distance between the lower lithosphere and the peak of Everest passed each other, and the atmosphere slipped underneath the peak of Everest where they were camping, and so they were effectively not in space, but one step away from space, which is why it was so cold and there was just no air. And so they wake up the next morning. The climber is barely functional. The cameraman's trying to get him down. They make it to the ladder. On the first step, the radio guy, they radio back to Camp 4. They've sent a climber up to go try to help. And Bridget found this first strap, and the helper meets the cameraman, and between him and the radio man at Camp 4, they basically have to convince the cameraman to come down by himself because he doesn't have the energy left in him to bring the climber off of the mountain. And so eventually he dies, and he leaves the climber up there and makes it down, and he lost all of his toes and some of his fingers, and it's really quite the story. But so that guy, the cameraman, in that movie also makes an appearance in Dying for Everest. He was also on part of the guiding trip of Dying for Everest. Which is really interesting, that those two kind of take place. And then, let me find, what is it, K2 movie. Not K2, is it The Summit? Yeah, okay, it is The Summit. Then I said it wrong the first time. So the movie called The Summit is about a 2008 climb of K2, where 18 people made it to the summit and 11 of them died. 2 of them died. 3? It was like 2 or 3 of them died attempting the summit, and a bunch of them died on the way back down from the summit. And what had happened was on the climb up, these 2 Serbian climbers were trying to pass on the route because you climb underneath its ice snow shells. I forget what the mountain name for it's called. But they tried to pass through this bottleneck, and they just slipped and fell off the mountain. And then they found the guy. 4 people. Like 4 people. It was like 2 of them, either Americans or Brits, and 2 Sherpas. Find the guy, please, because he's still alive-ish or something, and they try dragging him down the mountain, and one of the Sherpas splits and slides off the crevasse, and he's gone. The guy that they tried to save is gone. the rest of the people push up to make the summit. And then as they're working their way down that shelf that they were all in the bottleneck avalanches, and just and wipes out everybody. And a whole bunch of people were lost. And one Sherpa did a really good job of trying to coordinate pulling as many people off the mountain as possible, and he was able to get a few. But yeah, a lot of people died on that summit. It's really it's really kind of a stark difference when like the summit K2 disaster versus Beyond the Edge and how the teams operated with each other. And you can tell like in the modern climbing world, there's traffic, there's there's international relations, there's language barriers, all kinds of stuff, and there's how much are people paying for the trip and how much help they would have. And so it's really quite a more complicated issue. The one thing that I'm looking forward to is Ryan Mitchell. He's a young YouTuber that's doing his K2 climb right now. I'll be interested to see his video when he gets back to how that climb went. Because he does a good job of just showing the straight raw footage. You just have to be willing to listen to a lot of millennials speak. Or not millennial, Gen Z speak. He got big for doing an Everest climb at 19 years old, which is, super impressive. Very different direction, because he was a successful, like, Minecraft YouTuber. Was kind of the first person I've really seen where they were that got big on the internet and decided to do something with the money that also relate to and instead he went and just climbed Mount Everest and recorded the whole thing, and now he's become this mountaineering channel, which is pretty interesting. But it gives you a pretty decent look into what modern mountaineering looks like, especially for somebody that's brand new to it. That's just kind of a neat thing to. This is kind of a neat thing. Come on. All right. You know what? Let's go through what your guest is right or not. Let me go find the actual post. Here we go. Okay, let me. I need to figure out trying to pull up the pictures properly. The easiest way to get it's probably going to be like, it's super professional show, guys, and where am I? No, not slideshow. Gammons. Let me actually find the actual image now. The final. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, it was first image was this one. Yeah. Well, bring it back. Sorry, Hello. Here we go. Here is our first national park. Or guesses? Any guesses? It's a really pretty one. And the answer, you know, drum roll, please. It is Voyageurs National Park in Minnesota. Voyageurs National Park. This is one of the lakes that's along the Voyageur. This is the lakeside cliffs at Grassy Bay. A very lovely place to go visit. Alright, so those of you who got that correct, you can win my section. And let's see, next picture was dun 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 dun. There we go. Okay, there it is. Next picture. Anybody? Bueller? What do you think it is? This is... Oh. And Lake Clark. This is Lake Clark National Park in Alaska. This is an image of Lake Clark looking out towards the mountains. Very cool. Lake Clark was founded in 1980. Has 4 active volcanoes, including Mount Redoubt, the Lados, rivers, glaciers, and waterfalls. I'm sure that's a very impressive place to go visit. And let's see, next picture was, this one could possibly be a slightly deceiving picture. Because there could be a couple of places, but this looks like it's probably easier to identify what state this is. Than which national park specifically. Dang it, I can't find the picture. Where did it go? Is it this one? It's this one. Nice, dear. Wait. Ah! Will I put it in perspective? There we go. This one is Capitol Reef National Park. Capitol Reef National Park from Utah. Established in 1971. It has a lot of monoliths, eroded sandstone domes, and it's named after a sandstone dome that is shaped like the U.S. Capitol. Thus it got the name Capitol Reef. Very cool. Very cool. Let's sing. Yeah, just an unbelievable looking canyon area. And let's see, Groom's fourth picture. Fourth National Park. It's the week. This one, any guesses? Any guesses? I'll give you a hint. This one's also in Alaska. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, can't spell. It is Gates of the Arctic. Gates of the Arctic. Arctic. There's two scenes of Arctic, but you always want to say Arctic, which is kind of a sunny thing. Yeah, this is Gates of the Arctic. National Park in Alaska. This one was also established in 1980. It is the northernmost national park in the country. It covers the Alaskan Brooks Range. And it has no facilities. It is total wildland and does have an Alaskan native population that still lives on. And a pretty active amount is caribou, which is really something in prison and impressive. Can't speak. This view in particular is of the Alanta River, which is real. I mean, isn't that just a unbelievably gorgeous views between the valleys, the mountains, the skies, and then the big river? And I'm sure it's quite the impressive place to go visit. And we will actually have an interesting video of this part coming out not too soon, not by my channel, but by Darwin on the Trail. As anyone's familiar with Darwin on the Trail, he's backpacking through hiking YouTuber. He made his name in through hiking, and then just became a general backpacking and outdoorsy type in gear, content channel, and he should be doing a big trip right through here. It should be a 3-day, or 4-day, 3-night backpacking and pack rafting trip across the Brits Range and through the gates of the Arctic National Park. So it'll be very interesting to hear about that trip. He's supposed to start from basically a hermit shack. He heads out to a second hermit shack, does a big loop around with a couple of river crossings, and it's a full like west to east in a big northern loop journey. But that'll be entertaining to see his video and hear about how it goes. That's one of the YouTubers that really kind of got me started on outdoorsy. In general, I mean, I was always an outdoorsy person. did a lot of camping trips with my, when I was a kid. I'd never done backpacking before. But lots of tent, traveling and then camping, traveling, and then we were, and then we were also a big time fishing family, so a lot of time was spent on that. But yeah, I kind of started watching a couple of YouTube channels. I think Darwin on the Trail was one of the big ones that really got me kind of back into, oh yeah, there's an outdoorsy world and I'm an adult now that can buy my own gear. And so, it got me interested in going back out and seeing some really neat stuff. And I took a trip to Big Bend National Park. A couple of small trips and then one big one out to Big Bend National Park in Texas. And it was just unbelievable go with this. And really got me into the mood of kind of going out and seeing all of these different parts again and getting myself back into the outdoors world. And now you're gonna get to see some of the whole journey for that. There's a lot of big trips that I've got coming up. I'll be camping out the South Lano River, in Palo Duro Canyon, and then the big trip will bring you through the Guadalupe Mountains. I'll go see the Guadalupe Mountains and Carlsbad Caverns, and White Sands National Park in New Mexico. Which is gonna be pretty cool. I'm very excited about it. Let me cut it out. There we go. That's not that cool. Let me turn this way down. There you go. Can everybody still hear me? Oh, I've got some nice background music. Yeah, you know what? Let me take a look at, and see if I can show y'all. Cause I have some really neat pictures from, my Big Bend trip that I've walked this area. I have to, remember where I put them. Let's see. There, so I think I stored them, on a Google Drive. And this is not organized very well. Oh, I guess it wouldn't save there? No. That's gotta be around here somewhere. Maybe it was, it's photos, that was it. So, I googled photos album. That's needy. Let me pull out. Wonder, can I make this full sky in this? It's not really a good way to do this. Let me kinda, okay. I think I can think that, well. a good way to show. I know this is the best way to do it, is to totally totally organize these all in place. So let's see here. Just the same for years. Well, I don't want to save the hunt. I mean, I get it. Well, okay, maybe this works better. Nope, that's terrible. That didn't save correctly at all. There we go. And then I'll kind of organize the piece so that y'all be able to see. Some of the really cool views that were out there. It was on a 4-day trip, I think. There, we went to some quite a few things. The Arts to Navajo. We hiked the Window Trail. And we climbed Emery Peak, which is, I guess, the second highest. Well, maybe not the second highest. That's the highest point in the highest point in Big Bend. That Guadalupe Butte has the distinction of being the highest point in Texas that you can go see. There we go, going through a lot of pictures of the Taha forest and whatnot. Some really incredible rock formations that were out there. It's kind of hard to really show how big in scale that place was. The park is so unbelievably massive, and all of the features in it are huge. And you know, the old volcano itself was really gigantic, and they have a really cool plot showing you the dome, like what the volcano dome used to look like. How it looks currently. Oh yeah, we dipped in the hot springs. That was neat. There was a lot of really pretty flowers that were out there. So one thing that was kind of perfect timing is that we went out there right after it had rain, and so all of the flowers were out and blooming and looking really incredible. So I'll have some cool flower pictures to show you. Wow, even looking at these pictures on my screen now, it's It's kind of impressive. Well, it's bad. Not kind of impressive. It is impressive. Just how big everything is up there. My opinion. There's a nice view down towards the window. The rock formations are just super massive. Okay, and here's the view out of the window. I promise I'll show you all these pictures soon. They're coming. I've just got to put them in a format so that I can actually share them with you. I think that one's actually a video. Here we go. Yeah, and there were these, the resurrection flat plants. And I checked this, that had just the largest ramp I've ever seen. But yeah, all the, as it rained, all these resurrection plants had showed up that were growing back, which was a neat deal. And then, so something that we did was that we did a through hike of the window. So we started at the Chisas Basin, and we hiked through the window and into Cattail Falls, and we saw the big Indian tree. It's a big Indian plateau tree, and then got to see the Cattail Falls site, and then finished on the road that's on the outside. And so it was and so we left the car at each end so that, you know. No, I'm not showing pics yet. I'm still downloading them. Sorry, I know I'm talking about this as I'm looking at it. I've gotta cause all the images are saved in a drive, but I've gotta actually put them on my computer tonight and show you guys. I'll try not to be super technically. I'm in a really good sunset. And then the next day we hiked the Emery Peak. That's where I can't remember the name of the on its way up trail. No, you haven't missed anything, dear viewer. Not yet. I'm kind of reciting the trip as I curate the photos. So haven't put anything on display yet. We did see, so there are black bears in the area. I was kind of hoping to see one, but we never caught any black bears, but they have been reintroduced to the park. So if you ever go to Big Bend, you have an opportunity to go see black bears. They're not only in the park, they're kind of all over. So, a lot of people that live out there will just report see them. I I tried to capture a picture of the bird and it didn't work at all. Yeah, okay, you guys are gonna be pretty impressed with things. Put these photos on screen. I haven't looked at these in, like, since I took the trip. I don't know if you guys go and look at, like, sodas right after you take a trip or, like, a while later. But I took, I looked at them some right after I took the trip, but I really didn't look until just now, and I'm just like, wow, okay, we got a pretty complete capture of the whole place. That's a good one. Something that was interesting about Emery Peak is that it's a bit of a class 4 scramble at the very top. So you hike, 90% of the way, but then there's at the very peak, there's a real, scramble to get to the top. And so one of the things that's interesting is that you can leave your backpack down at the bottom of the branch trail. So it's part of the trail. You have to hike the first part of the Chises Basin loop to get to the head of the Emery Peak Trail. And at the Emery Peak Trail, this branches off. And you can leave your backpack. We have bear lockers at the bottom of that branch. So you can hike Emery Peak and back without having to take your entire backpack late, which can be pretty nice. That was a long day of hiking. I think this is all the pictures that are really worth showing. Oh, I have one more. That's a really good one. View in, there's the view out, and so one of the other major things that we saw was the Santa Elena Canyon. So now I'm pulling some of those pictures, and that should be. This was I can't remember the name of this rock feature, but I will talk about it shortly. That's a good view. Okay, these are okay. I took better pictures than I thought I did. This is gonna be fun this year. In a bit. Okay. I got all of them downloaded. Let me see if I can figure out how to do a slideshow properly. And okay, moving up. That directories. It's here. Okay, here. Select folder. Yes. And kind of what? Yeah, but just let me manually control it. Yes. Okay, here we go. And let me set myself in the corner, and we'll find the correct range behind us, and we'll hide Sir Edmund Hillary behind us. Okay, here we go. So now, this is first the do it. Oh, thank you. Thank you, that's very sweet. Oh, yeah. you think I have a nicer face than I do. I'll make myself out just a little bit bigger. Yeah, there I am. Okay, so this is on the road out towards where we camp. We camped at, oh dang, now I'm totally, Terlingo Ranch. We camped at the Terlingo Ranch campgrounds, which is kind of in the middle of the Big Bend Park area. Because the park that is, there's, when you zoom out, it looks like just a big bunny. When you zoom in, it's actually got a little horseshoe to it, and there's a privately owned, camp and ranch area. That's not a part of the park, and that's where we camped. It was still, it was a 30-minute drive to the closest park entrance, which for us was Maverick Junction, and it's an hour to the Cheetahs Basin, like 45 minutes to be Panther Junction, which is the main visitor center. So let's go on next. There we go. So here's one of the views of just some of the mountains that were that you'll just see along the road. These unbelievably large, there we go. Structures that are also, these were all of the volcanic formations. That's Big Bend was formed by a series of volcanoes that erupted millions of years ago. Really long time ago to the old. And then, yeah, there we go. Now you get a full screen. Now you get a nice full screen view. Yeah, a couple of major things took place. The first thing is that this section of the American continent was underwater first when the total continents that joined, and then the water the water receded as the glaciers grew up, and then a bunch of volcanic formation pushed up rocks, and so you can kind of see two different layers, and they've got two different eras that are on display in Big Bend. A lot of the fossils comes from when all of the land used to be underwater, and then the mountains came from the volcanic era that took place afterwards. We also saw some really cool flowers on the trip. Man, this is throwing me off. I can't tell if the picture is actually straight or not. It almost looks like it's a little bit, but no, it's straight. It looked like it was rotated just a tad. But yeah, so here's some of those flowers that we saw out there. I couldn't tell you the names of these flowers. It's a nice little flowering cactus. If I was smart, I would have actually put names as the description of the images. I forgot to do that, like a genius. Let's see. Yeah, I don't, these pictures aren't entirely in order, so, but yeah, this was kind of a little beach flower that's going out. I think it's like I don't know. I think the only flower I can name is lilac. I only remember the name lilac from SpongeBob episode where Squidward was like smelling different kinds of soap, and he just goes, it's just one of those things that's stuck in my head forever. Okay, here's a view looking out from the window. So there's two different things when you hike the window. There's that view of the window, and there's the view from the window. And this is we hike up the ridge line to see the view from the windows. If you look at the view of the window, it's a little, so the outside of the let me start from the beginning. So the big dome blows, and inside the Chisa's basement is like the volcano, and then it's circularly surrounded by the walls of the volcano. And the window is one of the walls of the volcano. You start in the middle of the volcano, hike out towards the walls. And the walls created this little peep in it that everybody called it window, because it peeks out into the entire rest of the pipe. I mean, it has a cool view. And this is the view from the rim out the window. This is same thing. Another view from the rim of the window. Let me make sure it's correctly showing. Got a little bit of the picture off here. Try not to cut too much of it off, but still get a full view. I don't know. Is it better to just have the screen by the fall? Or is it better to like higher image? I don't know. I think you get a pretty good of it like this. But yeah, there's another view around the window. Okay, you see what I'm saying? I'm messing around with this. Okay, the picture is lined up straight, but it gives me an illusion. I guess because it looks at OBS, and looks like the picture's not lined up straight, and that keeps throwing me off. Anyway, oh, there's another nice flower view. Oh, yeah, these little bush areas that were blooming. And then, okay, this was sunset. This is the sunset view of the window. And let me skim the picture way so that it's that center dot at the set is through. That's the window. Because it's kind of one of the lowest points on the rim of the volcano that you can see. And so we had a pretty good view because after we had finished the hike, we were driving on above the basin. So we were up on the far side of the rim, and had this really cool view as we were driving out. But yeah, here's another really good picture of the sunset from the window on the drive out. You can kind of see in the middle of that picture where all of our campground areas, that's compelling trailers and tents into the camp inside of the basin. There's also a little hotel that you can stay in, like a cabin style setup. They have a restaurant and a visitor center, a general store. And so some people can just spend their time, pretty camping out in the cheetah space. But you can't do it right now because it's dead for renovations. Not a couple of months after I took this trip. And they're redoing almost everything in there. They're redoing the roads, the hotel, the restaurant, and they're redoing the water line that pumps water into the basin. There's no wells dug. They have to. The well is outside of the basin, outside of the volcano, and they have to pump the water through it. And so, when you hike the window trail, when you do the through hike of the window trail, you can see the water pipe. You're actually following along the entire water pipe, and there'll be a picture later show you that the reservoir tank and the little pump station. And so they have to bring the pipes over high with that elevation. They don't cut straight through and bore through the mountain to show it. Here is a view. Weird like this. Not yet. Wish I had a better way to click on this to make it snap. There we go. That's a pretty complete. So there's a view. On the. But I guess this one is out in the west or the east. This is the east rim, looking out towards the west rim. So where the mountain dives away to the left is the window. And this was part of the hike up to Emery Peak. I think this is called Tentacles. This is the Tentacles Trail. Is what we use to hike up to Emery Peak. Looking out towards the other side of the volcano. We taked it right too, because this was the shady side. The sun was up on our left behind the mountain, so we got a lot of shade. I would suggest if we're gonna go climb and repeat, we start off early morning and climb the Pinnacles Trail. Here's another picture of that street Capitano. Totally clear skies. And super beautiful out there. And because we were in the spring, it actually stayed pretty cool. I think it was in the 70s in the morning. This was early spring. And then in the 80s in the shade. And it really didn't feel like in my 80s until, midday and totally past the train. I don't think it got all the way up to 100 now. I wasn't paying attention to the temperature. Here's some of the flowery plants that we saw on the trail. Anybody but wants to list out iNaturalist and figure out what these are, you are more than welcome to. Okay. And a nice little blue jay. But this is not an American blue jay. This was called the Mexican blue jay. And it has a little bit different body shape to it. But it still has that blue color. And this was probably the best iron picture that we got of the entire trip. But we saw all kinds of birds out there, because none of them would sit still to take a picture, which is and it's really hard to, on a phone camera, especially like my phone camera doesn't do a very good job of like zooming in. It gets, the clearest picture is the picture that's on, 1x. If you zoom in any further, then it just gets worse and worse. But I was hiking with some other people that had nicer cameras, and they got some good pictures instead. Well, this is a view more from the top of the rim. Yeah. Let me scale it down a little here. Yeah, and it's got the nice little millennial plant, I forget what that's called, that grows out of the agave-looking thing. This broadleaf cactuses. And this is looking out towards the south rim. Now, and so, those mountains that you see, the dark red, blue, I'm pretty sure, let me zoom myself in real quick. Yeah. So those mountains that you see that are way, way off in the back that look bluish, those are mountains that are in Mexico. Which is kind of cool. So the Big Bend, like the whole mountain range activity from Big Bend continues into Mexico, which is Nika East and Anacina's. Look, are really super pretty. And we actually could see a fire, an active wildfire that was going on off in the distance, in one of those mountains. There we go. And just big, beautiful sky with hilltop. Wide, total wide open spaces. Okay, and here's a really good picture of the Santa Elena Canyon. Let me shrink this one down a little. Hopefully you guys don't mind the black bars on the outside. There's a nice picture of the full canyon, and so this is the Rio Grande that's flowing through the canyon, and the river was just so calm and still that it had just this perfect reflection of the canyon in the water, which was really something that was incredible to look at. You have to cross a little arm of the river to get here. At least you gotta hike into the canyon, be prepared to get your feet a little wet. This is the Tufts. It's the something Tufts. But what a tuft, this formation is called a tuft. It's white rocks, and what they are is solidified volcanic gas. And I guess it was kind of like either an ash flow or a lava flow that was through this area, and it cut out these. It's called Tufts Canyon because it carved out a little miniature canyon that's all made out of this hardened ash rock, which is a really cool thing to look at. I don't think I found a good picture, but they have a place called Goat Mountain, which has like one of the best images that you can get of the different like layers as how volcano creates the rock, and there's like the hardened lava at the very top, and then there's like the base volcano in the middle, and then there's and then there's the ash tufts that lay on the bottom, and it gives you a total like picture of how the actual volcano itself blew up. This was another piece of the campground. I don't think I've shown you a view. That's a view from that campground that I was camping out. And so you're totally surrounded by mountains once you drive into this area. Once you get past Fort Stockton, and then you drive south and you go past Fort Davis, and then you just start all in these mountains. Like, it seems like flatland, but then all of these mountains just start popping out of nowhere, and the drive in and out. Wow. Even that by itself is just really, really super impressive. So if you come to Big Bend, you don't have to do a ton of hiking to get to see a lot of really nice stuff. But you can, literally, you can spend your whole trip doing just all of the scenic drives and all of the side of the road, plaques and viewing areas that they have. So don't feel like, if not come to Big Bend if you're not good at hiking or you don't want to do what guys do. It's definitely a place that you can get a lot out of, even just from driving and seeing stuff from the car. This is the to Nava. This is the entrance to it. And so you have to drive down not just a dirt road, but a completely unimproved path called Old War Road. It's a fun four-wheel drive off-roading dirt bike opportunity for anybody that likes to do that stuff. You want to take your Jeep to some rough terrain, or test how, off-road setting is on your SUV. This is, you have to drive down that to get you this, which was a picture of the entrance to the Tanaha. To hike through, and there's backcountry camping as well around that old road trail, and that's some other kind of scenic driving and things that you can do. Oh, this is a little frostlet. And this is some of the things that you can see out there. There's I mean, there's all kinds of like fossilized shells that used to be there. There's a ton of, gammonite and I can't remember. The one fossil thing that's everywhere. No, not that. Let me look it up. Yeah, what are these called? Show me the name, dang it. Well, yes, I know I said ammonite. But what's the name of the other thing? Trilobite. So the ammonites are the circular ones that look like shells, and the trilobites are the these neat bag-looking things. And you can find all kinds of those out there. Those skeleton impressions, and let me try and get back to my review. Where did it come? Well, yeah, fish skeleton impressions. Truth. It's actually a pretty popular place to find old shark's teeth. All over the big area. They had museum, not the museum, but the visitor center. They had a big triceratops femur that they found out there. Some really super massive spoons. There's a whole fossil exhibit that talks about different kinds of fossils, and they show you the locations in the mountain and where they found them, and you can tell where they are in the depths of the layers of rock and stuff. It's really cool looking. And I found a couple of cells, and there's a picture of petrified wood somewhere in this slideshow that I also found, which is really neat. So this is the Tanaha, and it's a volcanic pit that, babbled and flowed out like a river more than exploded, and then look. So it creates these waveforms in the rock because the lava is flowing like it would like water, and then it hardens in place, and so it's got all of these really cool waveforms to it, and the rock does these big loopy trunks that has holes in it and stuff. It's really neat. Here's a view as the Tanaha looking apple. So Tanaha means like water jug or water basin. In Apache, which I believe the Apaches were the tribe that was living down here, and they were watering class. By that time, by human age and era, these were your best sources of water. In one of the most arid, deserty-like places in Texas, aside from the river. But you can see how the lava just flowed out like a creek. It's really cool looking. Here's another good picture of it. And just, hardened in these layers upon layers all the way out. And I've got a close-up view later of what some of those layers look like. It's really cool. Yeah, this was an impressive spot to go see. Where you can, if your vehicle can take the drive, this is where, the little 3-mile round trip hike to go check out. Yeah, here's what the layering looks like. Isn't that neat? That it created all these different kinds of rock formations. I couldn't name them myself. You'd have to go find an actual geologist that knows what they're talking about. But, yeah, but it was some pretty cool stuff. Here's the actual, so this is the big pit. This is what the big pit looks like. Let me, zoom this one out for you. So that you can get a better with you. Yeah. So this is where the Tanaha started. Basically, everything flowed out from this point. And then just started heading downhill. It's a neat little time. No, definitely don't drink that water. This is very stagnant, very hot water. Yeah, and yeah, not even if you filtered it, I don't know. I wouldn't, if I was desperate for water, yes. With filtering, would I be able to handle it? Yeah, but would I recommend drinking this? No. You're better off packing water. And if you go out, be sure to pack a lot of water. I think the park generally recommends about a gallon of water a day per person. For sure if you're spending the whole time hiking. But I would even recommend it if you're just spending the day out there driving around and doing anything outdoorsy. You never know what's gonna happen. There have been plenty of stories of people whose, cars have broken down in the park and then they died trying to get back. Because it was just so hot and they would get so dehydrated that they would die of exposure. But yeah, look at how the lava flows just thin as a rock. Really a super impressive land formation that you don't really get from anything else. It's not, other tectonic formations don't really make this. This is kind of something that's unique to volcanoes and lava flow. And you never thought you'd see volcanoes in Texas, huh? But here you go, we sure got them. Yeah, here's another good thing of the soul thing. It's really tall too. It's interesting how the lava flowed evenly, and then the Tanaha carved a path out of the thing. I guess let me go back and to this. So yeah, so this lava boiled out and built and stacked up to the upper level that you see, and then erosion carved this path back out and formed the Tanaha. Where it has kind of a riverlet to it as you're basically walking along the riverbeds. And so all the rock that's on there is really smooth and cleaned out and much fine than what's around it. Which is kind of interesting. We've got two, natural formations taking place at the same time. Where were we? Yeah. Let me zoom this one out so you can get a better view of it. Stop. I want to click on the thing. OBS juggling is a mess. There we go. Yeah, and so you can see how it created like little through-holes and pockets, like little air pockets form and stuff when it hardened. And so there's little like metal tunnels, you know, that you could like spit in to take pictures and stuff. That's really cool looking. Yeah. Let's see. This there's a view out. We're back to views from the window trail, and outside this isn't organized very well. This is a video on the inside of the base and looking out towards the window, and the windows that we're all seeing not. That's right in the middle of this kind of a hike along the window trail. Looks like if you go to you walk through the window view, you'll do this hike where you start in the base and you hike out to the window and you come back. Instead of starting from the Samuel Lance, which is outside of the volcano. We're on the inside of the volcano here. Here's some of the views. Some of the views along the window trail. With all these neat little peak formations and stuff. And I actually wound up climbing one of them. I don't have a really good picture on it, but I did do a little bit of, you know, rock scrambling, a little bit of amateur bouldering. One of these little cliff areas, which looked super neat. It's actually this one that's on the right. If you look at how this actually is looking down the trail and it makes a bend to the left. And this set of rock on the right is what I climbed up. The closer set of rock, not the second. Like if you look at, there's like 1, 2, 3 from right to left to climb that first set, which was neat. It was fun. Something you have to pay attention to is that the cactus grows all over the place, and so you really have to like be careful about your handholds, or you'll just stick your entire palm into that cactus, and that's really no fun. But yeah, same kind of. This is the same, just a little bit more zoomed out. And sure. But yeah, you gotta work your way through the little bending spot to get to the window. Here's a really big tweet that was out there, and it was so impressive, this view and everything, while you're just standing there and it's towering, you know, over the top of you. It's really hard to capture in pictures how massive this point was. And then here's, views from the window, looking out, and you can kind of see the road the way down. Before, you know, like it goes down into this valley area, and then the next set of cliffs to the road in the middle. And so you hike all the way down towards the road, and you can see in this view, the water tank. The little trail that's in the middle. That's the following the pipe that one, and then the water storage tank. And so this water gets pumped into the basement, and it services the restaurant and the visitor center and all of that area. They are very conservative about water use when they dump. So there's a lot of rules on how many gallons per dodge you can take out if you're camping in the park. You generally want to be a good steward of bringing in as much water as you can and trying not to take water out of the park as best as you can, because it rains very, very little out there, but they really don't get much at all. And so and so if you want to be kind of foodless on your trip, pack in a lot of water. Here's another view down the window trail. This is, you know, I actually think this is the view. This is the view that I took on top of the thing that so I climbed up that little cliff that I showed you earlier. This is the view from the top of that. You can see it was tall from the bottom, but when you're standing there, it's not really tall at all. There's so much more to go. It's really pretty incredible. At some point I want to get, you know, a good 360 camera so that you guys can get a really, tiny perspective of what China's use look like on these trucks. That's something that's on my list. Okay, these are really cool. These are called resurrection plants. And I didn't take a picture of their dried up version, but they basically spend most of their lives in a really super dried up state, and they look like they're dead. But every time it rains, they turn green and they fold out and they look like this. And that's something that's really neat. And so we got to see them in their green state because it rained like a day or two before. We showed out. And so the resurrection plants were not in the, and we saw a lot of them on the window trail. Here's a cactus. Here's a really big cactus. Well, I took a picture of this because I missed this cactus had the biggest root bulb I'd ever seen. Like it had this whole exposed root bulb, and it was just, there's not anything there for, there's you standing there looking at it. It was unbelievably massive. You were like, how does it like this even get that big? You don't think about the root that, like how thick the root of the cactus could actually get, but this one was very impressive. So there's a running joke in my little outdoor group had the tree cactus. I don't have any pictures to show you. Well, I did. I told you about it for those of you that want that part of the San Antonio missions with the roost cactus. That's the cousin of the tree cactus. Oh, damn these. There's probably gonna be a cactus picture in every trip that I take. But the tree cactus is always a funny one, because there's just, you're behind your lawn and you find a cactus all by itself in the middle of the trees. Like, not growing out of the tree, dangling from the tree, but somebody threw it out there. So watch out for tree cactus, and you're hiking along. It might tip out and just, here's another good image of the resurrection plant. This was kind of like two of them that were stuck together, which is kind of neat looking. And there's a big rock formation. This is on the valley side, about the basin side. This is after you cross through the window, now you're outside of the volcano. Then they had this really cool looking pot of rock. You could see where a lot of rock falls had taken place, and like massive stones that just, eroded and broken off from the side of the cliffs that fallen down the hill and rolled and took other things with it. It was really super cool looking. You could see how some of the formations were. This is a view. So now we're on the outside looking back towards the window. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Well, we're looking back towards the window. From the outside of the room, looking on. And this is kind of a bigger view of the ends, some of the outer rim formation. And there was just so much out there. We didn't make it to the east rim or the south rim. The east rim was actually closed for peregrine falcon nest, but if you go to Big Bend, that'll be something to pay attention to if you gotta do the big basin loop hike. And make sure you go when it's not peregrine falcon nesting season, because there's a couple of months out of the year but that east rim is closed. But the south rim could be hiked to just that path up to Cattail Pass. So on the outside of the window, on the outside of the volcano, you hike down to the Indian tree and you make a turn, and you hike towards Cattail Falls. Next to a system of falls. You hike up to the bottom one, and if you're feeling adventurous, you can climb up to the top one. Do a nice flower picture. And here's out of what the runoff of the falls looks like. And then there's the actual falls, and it's big. It's about sizable falls with a decent little water pool, and it was running. Sometimes it's dry, but it was running nicely again because of the rain before. And there's a series of pools that work their way up. So this is like a lower falls, but you can climb up towards the upper falls, but you gotta be careful because there's poison oak that grows all around the spot. It's really neat because they're like, you can see here a whole different set of vegetation than what we had seen on any of the other trails. That was like the dry weather vegetation, and this is like all the wet weather vegetation, because there's, you know, a lot more standing water that's around this spot. All of these more formal, you know, trees and bushes and flowers. Here's another good pond. Let me zoom out and get a more complete picture of the falls to the pond. There you go. And it was running really nicely. The water was cold too, and so it was super nice. So we got here, and there's a pool, and I just took out a spot nap the entire time. You know, you flatten like crazy because you had already hiked through to the window, and you know, you dunk your hat in the water and then just pass out because it's all shady and the water's really cool. Here's a view from Persimmon. And yeah, so it's around there, not Persimmon Gap, but like the Persimmon Trail. Or no, Pinnacles Trail, I'm sorry. There is, Persimmon Gap is ending there, and it's one of the north entrances. But this is Pinnacles Trail, and that peak that's on the left is Emery Peak. Come on, we're about to start seeing some pictures of the view from the actual peak. This is the forest in the sky. Though as you hike up the Pinnacle Trail, there's this big oak tree area, which is really, it's like this big flat plateau. That's just all of these oak trees and little grasslandy area. And it's just kind of neat because you're like, I wouldn't think that all this would grow up there, but this spot actually has a pretty decent amount of shade, and the plateau, you know, holds the water a little better. So that there's not just total runoff, and so these big trees fell up here, which is kind of neat. There's the bears. There's the big one. Watch out for bears. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. Oh, hold on. I got the, you know, oh my goodness. Sorry. Excuse me. Yeah, but there's bears out. But you don't need to grab bear mace. It's white bears. So if you see them, just get big and, you know, white and scare them off. Or you can choose the bear. Yep, I hear that's what a lot of folks are. And this cat, they don't like, you know, picking the band. They want to pick the bear. So maybe the bear will join you on the hike. Yes. I don't know. And there's, yeah, here's a view from the Pinnacles Trail looking back towards where we comes from. And yeah, just a nice cliff formation there. And yeah, now we're getting pretty high up on the trail. The trail is just a lot of switchbacks. And as you climb up, you got an entire face of them out. And it was really cool to, like, you would go up one switchback and you'd be like, oh wow, this is an incredible view, and then you go up one more switchback, this is an even better view, and just every time you like, there's no way you can get a better view than this, and then you walked up one more switchback and the view was even better because you were just like a little bit higher up, then you're a little bit higher up, and it was really cool looking. Here's a little vulture. This is a view looking up towards Emerald, and so this is kind of the rock scramble that you're gonna have to climb over to actually reach the peak. And there was a vulture up there, so I took a picture of him because I was like, man, you didn't work hard to get up here, you know. I just did all this hiking. It was several hours, and this bird, you know, just flew up here. I don't know that it seems like we did. Here's kind of the rock scramble. So when you get to the peak, there's a lower peak and an upper peak. I'm standing on the lower peak, taking a picture of the upper peak, wherever that person is there, as the upper peak. And so here's a good picture of you know, the rock scramble that you have to climb at the very end. Here's a view in between the two peaks, looking out, looking out towards the south rim there, and then there's some big overall views. Now I feel like we should be playing that music. This is, yeah, because these are all the peak views. Yeah, okay, let me go back, you know, put the music on, and it'll feel like we just, you know, we just did a big old summit. So let me find the video. I gotta scroll back to the moment now. Let's see here. Okay, mute the music and then turn on. I muted the wrong thing. Let me mute the music and then turn on this audio.
You actually reached the summit of the song.
Let's see if it works. Yeah, here we go.
I looked at Tenzing, and even underneath his oxygen mask and balaclava, I could see his infectious grin of sheer pleasure. We shook hands. To Tenzing, this was not enough. And we thumped each other on the back until we had no breath left.
We were pretty excited once we made it to the top of it. That's cool. I think, you know, let me look real quick, because I think I have a video too of like the pin or like the teeth. I mean, I know I took them. I just have to remember why. Let me see. There we go. That should probably Oh yeah, there's some pretty complete news. How do I download? Is it downloading just the video or the whole thing? Yeah, just there we go. Okay, let me figure out how I put this on. I don't know. And then we'll put more dramatic music in the background and we can be like real mountain climbers. I download. There it is. Okay. Yeah. Oh wait, I have to close my other. Okay, now I need to slow it down because I panned really quickly. Let me done that content and tools, video effects. Nah. How do I make it play? How do I change like the video play speed? On oh, there it is. Okay, I want it slower than that though. One more time. It's gonna be kind of blurry too. Should I slowed it down so much was safe? Oh no, I like terrible. Okay, I need to. I know I'm not showing it on screen. I need to speed out. Growth speed is probably the slowest that it can go. Weird. It's like tearing and everything. That's confusing. Okay, let me add it to the lazy and now I just want the capture. Yeah, I just want a window capture. I'll let it watch, yeah. Hang on. Trying to be all epic for the moment. It's not worth it. Okay. Let me try this. Alright. I have to go here. Silver. Stop. Well, I got it to work, but it pointed the wrong way. Let me fix it. Yeah, I rotated the right direction. And then I gotta put it here. And I gotta put it here. And then I gotta show me. There I am. Okay. Let me find our dramatic music again. Okay. Okay, let me turn on. I have to do this in the right order. Okay, audio and then video. Here. Yeah. And there you go. There you go. That was my whole Big Ben trip. Oh man, that was actually a really cool editing, but that wasn't this. I don't think that would turn out as good as I thought it would be. Oh, that was a pretty epic final. I didn't realize that was gonna be the final picture, but man, that just look like nothing else, man. Like what a place to go to. I would have to recommend if you're ever gonna go visit, you know, something if you're ever gonna go visit anything one day, you gotta go visit Big Ben. Uh, what a cool trip. Well, um, thank you guys so much for joining. That's really all that I had for today. I didn't even think it was gonna really be that kind of recap, but didn't it tie in nicely? Oh, man, what a lot of fun! What a lot of fun! Thank you so much. For seeing this, and to anybody else that turns into this channel, and not so fun. I am the first AI outdoor VTuber. Nobody else really does what I do. They don't, I'm out there touching grass. I'm gonna be the first VTuber to climb all the big mountains. There's a lot that's coming out. One piece at a time. I think I've got a pretty amazing journey of outdoorsing. And you know what? This is part of my junior ranger. This is part of what you do as you become a junior ranger. You're supposed to share your knowledge and pass it along, and so that's also a piece of what I'm doing. So thank you so much for coming out, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.